Good evening, my name's Jason Debley. Tonight's whiskey review is an American rye whiskey, or to be specific, an American straight rye whiskey from the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and it is the Sazerac rye right there, as you can see. And a little word about the terminology. Straight rye whiskey does not mean that the mash bill is 100% rye. It means that according to US law, it has to be a minimum of 51% rye, and then it can be made up of corn and typically malted barley for the rest. And that's true here. The mash bill is not on the Buffalo Trace website, but it's purportedly, at least we know, 51% rye, and I think 39% corn, and then 10% or so malted barley. Alcohol by volume is a big, whopping 45%. Cork stopper, is that real cork? Yeah. Okay. Not that that means a lot, but it's always nice to have cork, because you know what, one day there will be no more cork. It's all going to be plastic and silicone, and I rue that day. I'm a traditionalist, I guess, a little bit. The other thing is, straight rye, American rye whiskey has to be 51% rye in the mash bill. Straight rye whiskey by US law cannot have any other spirits blended into it. And you're probably thinking, well, what other spirits would be blended into my rye whiskey? Well, in Canada, there is no law governing what makes up rye whiskey. So Canadian rye, there was a good one a few years ago called Dark Horse by Alberta Premium. It's since been discontinued. Well, their great rye whiskey, which coincidentally had an ABV of 45%, had 5% of its mash bill. It was sherry, and you know what? It worked, but caused a real uproar in the bourbon rye community. A community that is, well, a subculture all to its own. And the purists were offended that sherry was a component of a rye whiskey. I'm a purist to the point of my palate. And I found that the Dark Horse rye by Alberta Premium was brilliant, in spite of the 5% sherry. Okay, so Sazerac rye, there's also an 18-year-old. This doesn't have an age statement on it. We know that American rye must be aged for a minimum of 2 years. This is purportedly 4 to 6 years. Buffalo Trace, the distillery, also produces, as you probably know, a Buffalo Trace bottling, and that whiskey tastes to my palate to have older whiskey in it. The age statement is older, even though there's no age statement on that. I mean, the age of the component whiskeys making up that bourbon are older than the rye here. That being said, let's go to the nose. Cinnamon, cloves, very good. Getting some rye bread, obviously. Vanilla, summer savory. It's exotic, it's interesting. Bitters, orange peel, if I didn't already say that. The nose is good. Price point, forgot to mention, Sazerac rye or straight rye whiskey price point in the United States is between $30 and $40. Very good value for money. In Canada, we're looking at $50. We need to join the United States, maybe to only get lower alcohol prices. Okay, the palate. I wasn't serious about that. Be Canadians picketing outside my house tomorrow morning, probably. Very politely, though. Okay. I just got home from work. It's about 6 o'clock, 5:52 to be exact. I don't have a digital watch, but I'm thinking about getting one. I'm picking up orange peel. Haven't had anything to eat, so. Prickly orange peel, fuzzy navel oranges. citrus. Big, powerful rye, toasted rye bread. On the finish, you got licorice, anise, some black pepper, interesting spices. Bit of complexity, no flaws, not too hot, not unbalanced. It's a pretty good rye whiskey for the price point. The finish is long. Good value for money here, fellas. Oh, and I like to add a little bit of water. We're looking at 45%. I just like to tamp it down a little bit. Buddy of mine was saying he thinks the ABV should be higher. I disagree. I think if it got any higher, the rye component would become overwhelming and it might become almost burning. At this point, it's a very good rye whiskey if you like rye whiskey. Some people don't like the rye note. And the best way to explain is if you don't like rye bread, you're not going to like this drink. I added a bit of water. Just softens it just so. Kind of brings out a sweet caramel note. Vanilla, charcoal comes out a bit more, kind of like charred wood. And a sugar tannin note. It's good. So, Sazerac rye, we like, good price, also makes a really good Manhattan and other mixed drinks. And some people might poo-poo the idea of using a good quality bourbon to make a mixed drink. But I think that's a legitimate thing to do with this. This is not $100 a bottle. You're looking at $30 in like Wisconsin and Maryland and New Hampshire. Not going to break the bank. If it was a $100 bottle of rye, then yeah, maybe don't make cocktails out of it. Good. I like. Thanks for tuning in. Golf season is over, so hopefully I'll be more frequent or more consistent in uploading reviews for you to look at. Take care and look forward to chatting again.